Hi class, welcome to Psychology 101. I am your professor and my name is Dr. Laura Swain. I'm going to be going over the syllabus with you in just a minute, but before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of a background about who I am so that you can know where I'm coming from as I teach this course. I received my PhD in experimental psychology, meaning that I am a researcher. And the area of research that I'm involved in is neuroscience. I'm in fact considered a neuroscientist. I study the brain. And the way that I study the brain is with different neuroimaging techniques. So I specifically look at human brains using techniques such as fMRI, MRI, and EEG. You'll learn about all of those later. But what I'm very interested in looking at is what happens to our behavior and to our cognitive abilities when the brain is damaged, especially when it's damaged or when it's developing. And so areas of research that I've been involved in include working with stroke patients who have a very interesting disorder called visual neglect. And in this disorder, they have damage to an area of their brain and therefore causes them to not be able to process anything on the opposite side of their body. And so it's almost as though they are completely unaware of what goes on in that side of the body. That's one area of interest I've had. Another area of interest that I've had and area of research that I've worked in is with children who had hemispherectomy procedures. These individuals had had half of their brain removed in order to cure their severe epilepsy. And so I worked with those children looking at how their brain was able to recover certain functions and how it rewired itself in order to keep these children functioning. We're going to talk about that as well too. And then the last main area of research that I've been involved in, which is my most recent area of research, is with ALS patients. And ALS patients are also known as patients who have Lou Gehrig's disease. And this is a neurodegenerative disorder that attacks the brain, first attacking the motor areas of the brain. And then, of course, it spreads from there and eventually attacks the whole brain and unfortunately does result in death of the patient. In this latest area of research I've been involved in, I have looked at, again, how the brain changes over time as a result of the disease and how cognition is affected by this neurodegenerative process in this group of patients. So those are some of my main areas of research that I've been involved in. So I do come from a very strong neuroscience background. However, you'll learn in this course that we're going to cover a whole broad list and range of topics, which makes this course one of my favorite courses to teach because it keeps me up to date with all the other fields of psychology out there. And so it gives me a chance to learn along with you guys as I'm teaching. All right, so that being said, I do also want to warn you that a lot of people assume Psychology 101 is a very easy class because it's a 101 class. But as I already mentioned, there are a lot of topics that we're going to cover. Some are going to be very sciencey, looking at the brain and neurons. Some are going to be more social based, looking at whole systems and how cultural factors affect behavior and things like that, which may be a little bit easier for some people to understand. Some people actually find it easier to understand the neuroscience stuff though. So because of this class is actually not as easy as a lot of people assume it's going to be, because it really does focus in on so many diverse topics that you may do really well learning about one topic, but not so well learning another topic. So I just want to give you that forewarning. This is not going to be, unfortunately, an easy A for you. But if you decide to stay in this class, hopefully it will be a class that provides you with a lot of new information that is going to be very relevant to you and your future. Now, let me go through the syllabus. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of a background about this class. All right, so let's turn to the syllabus, and you'll see that this is Introduction to Psychology, taking place this summer right now, and also will be taking place in the fall. If you decide to bail now, you can actually take it again in the fall if you want. Okay, so Psychology 101, this course is officially called Introduction to Psychology. It is 3 credit hours, so do keep in mind that even though we are in a shortened semester, we end on August 6th, that doesn't mean that you will have less work. You still have the same amount of work that you would have in a regular semester. It's just going to be all crammed closer together. Again, we are in summer session 2, and it is summer 2015. Again, my name is Laura Swain. I have my PhD in experimental psychology. This entire class will be virtually based, and so my office location is also going to be virtual. That means we will have office hours by scheduled appointments through either Skype or on the phone. If you do need to get a hold of me, one day, let's say if I am in my office, this is the number that you can call. However, most often I will not be in my office, and if we do schedule an appointment, I will actually be calling you from my cell phone from an unidentifiable number. So just to let you know that in advance, and I'll of course remind you that later. Okay, so this is an online course and it will be delivered that way 100%. All right, let's scroll down. Now, just to give you information generally about this class, this is a self-paced online course that is broken down into 3 modules. You will be able to work at your own pace within the time frame of each of those modules. So for example, the first module begins today and will end on July 16 or 15. Let's check the schedule. But within these next 10 days, you will have the flexibility to complete everything in that first module within that time. So when you finish that module, then you will wait for the next module to begin, which will be then the next day. You cannot begin the next module until we've gotten through the scheduled duration of the first module. So we will go in order, but within each module, everything is going to be flexible. So I love this part about the class and I love this part about teaching the online class because it does provide that flexibility for you. And so as an advisor, I really am happy that I am able to provide this resource to many of you who find that you have very busy schedules or you're a non-traditional student, and having the flexibility of an online class is an excellent way for you to get your credits and pursue getting your college degree. As a mother of a 2- and 3-year-old, I definitely appreciate that flexibility. So I'm very thankful that I get to give that flexibility to you as well. All right, in each module, you will have quizzes and discussion board assignments. So in every single module, you're going to have, after each lecture, a quiz and a discussion board assignment. There's going to be one exam at the end of each module that will take place on the last day of that module. So do make sure that you are able to get on the internet on that last day of the module, because that is the day that the final exam for that module will be posted, and you will have to take the final exam for each of those modules on that specific day. It can be at any time during the day, the full 24 hours, but it has to be on that day. And you will get a study guide for your final exams within each module. All right, so let's talk about the course generally speaking as a Psychology 101 course. So as stated in the website bulletin, this class entails an introduction to the areas of the study of human behavior, theories and facts, research and application. That's pretty kind of broad, so let me break it down a little bit more. Psychology involves the study of mind and behavior, which makes this, of course, a very diverse course. We will cover topics specifically including the history of psychology, that's the first thing that you're going to learn about, research methods and ethics, neuroscience, sensation and perception, attention, learning and memory, developmental psychology, sleep and dreams, stress, personality, social psychology, and abnormal psychology. And abnormal psychology refers to the disorders that psychologists study and help people with. So you'll find throughout this course that much of what you learn will be about how you and others behave in this world, which of course makes this field a very relevant field for you to learn about regardless of your major or career goals. So in this vein, learning about psychology can also be very fun. All right, now let's look at the specific course objectives. By the end of the semester, you're going to become familiar with the history of psychology, including studying the classical experiments that have pioneered the field. You're also going to understand psychology as both a scientific research field, meaning a hard science research field, and also as a clinical field, meaning the types of work that involves helping people, providing treatment and therapy and so on. You're also going to become knowledgeable about the scientific method, research methods, and ethical issues in psychology. You're also, of course, going to learn about the major thoughts, principles of behavior across the multiple domains within the field of psychology. And then lastly, you're going to be able to get a hands-on experience of topics learned. And this is going to be assessed through a final project that will be due at the end of this semester. Okay, so outcomes by the end of the semester, you will be able to identify key proponents, specifically people, and events throughout the history of psychology that have played a major role in shaping the field and our understanding of behavior. You're also going to be able to describe and understand the basic methods of the social and behavioral sciences. You'll be able to think critically about current and past research, and very importantly, you will be able to apply concepts and theories learned in class to explain or better understand how we interact with the world and others. Required in this course is your textbook. You're going to need this importantly for reading every single chapter about every single topic that we cover in this class. As an online course, it will be a little bit more difficult for you to learn information because you're not able to online on the spot ask me questions. You'll be watching the videos, but you're going to find that if you really want to retain and learn the information, you're going to need to also read the book chapters. It will not be advisable in any way to simply just watch the lectures and then take your quizzes and exams, or on the other side, simply just read your textbook. You need to do both. I'm also providing on your Blackboard website the lecture slides as well. So you'll have multiple avenues to be able to thoroughly learn the materials in order to do well in this class. The version that we are on is the 9th edition. So do make sure that your book is up to date, because in other editions, the chapters don't coincide and the topics don't coincide with the current 9th edition. All right, of course you're going to need to be on Blackboard for this class, and hopefully, if you're looking and listening to the syllabus video, you've already figured out how to get on Blackboard and access this course. But if for some reason you need help, here is more information about getting onto your Blackboard login. You're also going to need, of course, the updated version of Microsoft. Specifically, you're going to need Word and you're going to need PowerPoint in order to open up certain assignments and to do certain assignments. If you don't have Skype already, you're going to want to download it now, because again, Skype will be our tool that we will use to have office hours. If again you don't want to use Skype though, that is fine. We can just do a telephone chat, but sometimes it's easier to do a face-to-face on the computer chat. Sometimes things are a little bit easier to explain that way. All right, here's something that not a lot of people have heard about. If you haven't taken an online course, there is also an app that you need to download called the Respondus Lockdown Browser. Let me explain. The assessments in this course must be taken using the Respondus Lockdown Browser. The Respondus Lockdown Browser creates a locked testing environment that prevents you from viewing other web pages, accessing other applications, and printing or copying the assessments. You must download and install Lockdown Browser before you take any quizzes or exams. And use this link to do that. That's why it's provided in there. So click on this link and it will take you to the Lockdown Browser download. The Respondus Quick Start Guide, which is a nice tutorial to take you through the steps that you need to follow in order to download this, provides information on the installation and usage of Lockdown Browser. Do this now so that you are prepared for your first assessment. All right, here's a side note. When taking assessments, the preferred browsers to use for an assessment or PC users are Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome. For Mac users, Mozilla Firefox is the best. Also, students should seek a computer with a wired connection. If using a wireless connection, be sure to be close enough to the wireless router so that you get the strongest signal. This is very important when you are taking a quiz or exam. The last thing that you want to do is lose reception in the middle of one of these quizzes or exams, because you can't take them over. Students cannot use the back button in the browser either while you're taking your quizzes or exams. It will cause many problems with the assessment. Basically, it'll crash the system, so do not do that. All right. Again, this is an This is an online course. So it's designed to provide you with an introduction to the many aspects of psychology, and you will be expected to complete the 3 modules divided by topic theme in order for you to gain insight into the diverse field of psychology. Topics are listed here. I'm about to show them. Of course, there may be something during the semester that arises that may call for a departure from the schedule. It's very unlikely, but just in case, that's in here. So if there are any changes to the schedule, I will let you know, and I will let you know in advance. Again, all of the work is prepared for you to work at your own pace, but do be aware of the deadlines for each graded activity, specifically the last day of each module, which is, again, the day that you will be taking your exam, and the day that all of your discussion, forum, assignments, and your quizzes need to be completed by. All right, here are the course topics in the modules. Module 1 is going to cover kind of the background of psychology and a lot of the more hard science kind of research topics that you'll find in psychology. So, of course, we're going to go over research methods and research ethics, and then we're going to talk about neuroscience, we're going to talk about the visual system, and then we're going to talk about the attention system. In Module 2, we're going to get into development, and then we're also going to talk about learning in the field of learning, the field of memory, and then we're also going to talk about sleep and dreams, which does actually very much relate to learning and memory and development. Module 3 is more of the clinical side of psychology. And so we'll be looking at personality, social psychology, abnormal psychology, and stress. In every single learning module, you'll have text readings. You will also be watching video lectures. You'll be involved in discussions, and you'll have quizzes and exams. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of your assessments. For each of these activities that I'm about to describe, do be sure to follow the deadlines provided. Missed activities will result in a grade of 0. Let me repeat that. If you miss a quiz or discussion board forum or exam final, you will result in a grade of 0 for that assignment. So I will get into more detail about that after this. Okay, so let's talk about exams. You're going to have 3 exams throughout the semester. They will be timed. There's going to be 3 50-minute timed exams, and they're going to occur on the last day of each module. Exams will be based on material covered in the lectures, of course, and assigned chapters. Questions on the exams are all multiple choice, and there will be 50 questions per exam, so you get 1 minute per question. The exams are timed in Blackboard, and each exam will be worth 100 points. I will provide a study guide for you before I post the final exam. And when I say final exam, I'm talking about final within that module. There is actually no cumulative final exam at the end of the semester. Every exam is specific to that module. Okay, so quizzes. You will have a quiz after every single lecture. There are a total of 13 lectures. The number of quizzes that you will take will all cumulatively total 100 points. So you'll have a time quiz to complete after each lecture. Quizzes will range in number of questions and time allotted depending on the amount of information in each lecture. Some lectures are short. On the short range, they're about 45 minutes. Some lectures have gotten closer to 2 hours. So depending on how much material is in that lecture, your quizzes are going to range in size from about 5 questions at the shortest to about 10 questions at the biggest or at the longest. Every question will be worth 1 point, regardless of the quiz size. All quizzes must be completed by the end of their respective module before you take the exam. So all these quizzes must be completed before you take the exam. And you should, because quizzes are intended to emphasize important concepts from each lecture. Therefore, it's suggested that you do take each quiz following their respective lecture and book chapter so that the information is still fresh. And this will, of course, maximize your performance. So the quizzes are a very good way for you to have to review the material in order to retain that information. These quizzes also serve the purpose to prepare you for your exams by being able to review these important concepts. So this is also why you need to take your quizzes before your exam. Okay, some general side notes, more general side notes here. When you take your quizzes and exams, remember you will be in lockdown browser mode. Also, the preferred browsers to use, Mozilla, Firefox, or Chrome. You should seek a computer with wired connection. You cannot use the back button. This is all a repeat of what you saw earlier, but here's a new one. You are expected to take the assessment as if you were in a proctored classroom. These are real quizzes. These are real exams. So you are not permitted to use any outside resource, including your textbook, your course notes, or anything else that could help you out on this quiz, friends, so on. Now, let me tell you and warn you that even if you do try to do this, you're not going to do well, because if you are trying to shuffle through your notes as you're taking the exam, you're going to run out of time. Each quiz and exam is timed so that you have 1 minute for every question, and each question is randomly presented. And so if you're trying to shuffle through 5 different chapters of information while you're taking the exam, you're only going to get to maybe 30 questions. So you are trusted that you will not do this, but also it will be very difficult to do this and succeed anyway. All right, again, you have a discussion after every single lecture. Some discussions involve multiple components, but the purpose of the discussion activities are to help you synthesize your thoughts around the topic being discussed and gain insight from your classmates that may help you further formulate your ideas. And so you are going to be taking topics that we discussed from the lecture, and you're going to be answering questions about these topics. And again, this is a really great way for you to think outside the lecture about these topics and to also provide more retainment of that information, because it is allowing you to now talk about that topic in your own words. And that's the very important part of learning. If you are able to talk about anything that you learned in your own words and have a discussion about it, you will remember that information so much easier, and you will remember that information more long term. So this is also very beneficial to your long-term learning. You are required to participate in each discussion by answering questions posed in each lecture. There's 2 parts to this. That's the first part, and that's worth 5 points. You're also, in this discussion board assignment, going to directly respond to at least 1 additional post by a classmate, which is another 5 points. So you're going to have 2 components of your grade coming from each discussion board assignment. Each discussion board assignment is worth 10 points. 5 points comes from you making a post. 5 points comes from you responding to somebody else. So you have to do both of those in order to get your full 10 points. And this is more of a participation type grade. So I'm not going to look at your answers and see if they're wrong and penalize you by points if you're wrong. This is participation. This is you do it, and you will basically get your points. As long as you do it correctly, you're putting thought into it and you're not just blowing it off. You're expected to post your own thoughts and your response to your classmates' post by the deadlines found in each module. So have all of your discussions done by the last day of the module. Each discussion assignment is, again, worth a total of 10 points, and there are 13 discussion assignments. Do be professional on these discussion boards. You are expected to be respectful of your classmates at all times on these discussion boards. I do want to encourage the expression of different ideas, and of course this is largely dependent on your own open-mindedness and willingness to respect each other's opinions. I do expect the use of professional language at all times. Avoid the use of slang and profanity. We do have an etiquette section below that we're going to cover. You will finally have a final project. Your final project is supposed to be a creative, critical thinking, integrative project that will basically synthesize multiple concepts that you've learned over the semester and then integrate them together into one final project. And the reason that this project is assigned is because the best way to learn new material is to be able to teach it to others. This is really only the way to become an expert at a given topic. So you will be required to submit an original creative project at the end of each semester based on the topic of interest that you choose, with the goal of teaching this topic to a wider audience. So this project is meant for you to integrate and synthesize information covered over several lectures and chapters, as well as researching the topic, and so bringing in outside information in order to learn more deeply about that topic. So you will follow the scientific method to complete this assignment, and you can also, in this assignment, incorporate multiple modes of research. For example, you can incorporate a literature review. You can actually conduct interviews. You can create a demonstration, make a formal observation, or even conduct a small experiment, depending on what it is that you are choosing to study. So this project will require critical thinking skills, and you will choose from a list of topics that I will provide. So you're not going to come up with a topic out of the blue. I'm going to give you a list of options. And then you're going to create a project that will incorporate your creative work. So this can include, but not limited to, a PowerPoint presentation, an audio presentation, a video presentation, or a combination of these. You're going to complete this, and then you're going to submit it by the last day of the class. So in this project, you are expected to demonstrate an extensive degree of knowledge about your selected topic. This is obviously a very detailed project, and so you will find an actual guide to this project on Blackboard that will be posted very soon. And again, this project is due by the last day of class. You will submit it online to me. All right, your grade breakdown is here. You have 3 exams. Each exam is worth 100 points for a total of 300 points. You have 13 quizzes ranging between about 5 to 10 points each. And again, that's about, but cumulatively will be worth 100 points. You have 13 discussion board assignments that are all worth 10 points for a total of 130 points. And you have 1 final project that is worth 70 points. Altogether, this results in a cumulative total of 600 points for this class. Here's your course schedule. So Module 1 includes the lectures discussing the background to psychology, research methods and ethics, brain and behavior, vision, and attention. We actually already discussed this previously, but here's more details. The book chapters for each of these lectures are as follows. Chapters 1, 2, 3, and 6 is where material is going to come out of for your Module 1. You must have your work completed in this module by July 15. This is the day your exam will be posted, and this is the day that everything needs to be submitted. On the next day, the following day on July 16, you will begin Module 2, and that will end on July 26. And then your third module will end on the very last day of finals, which is August 6. And don't forget, the last day of class, which is August 6, is also the last day for you to be able to submit your final project. Your grade is based on a point system out of 600 total points, and how this is calculated is just by taking how many points that you have and dividing it by 600. Whatever the percentage is that comes out of that is your grade, and the grade is based on a 10-point scale. So 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 90 is a B, and then also you can get a B plus or a C plus. D plus, no F plus. Hopefully nobody gets an F. So grades are based on this 10-point scale. So for example, 80% to 86.69% will translate to a B, and 87 to 89.99% will translate to a B plus. All right, now here's a discussion about netiquette, and this is where you'll find the syllabus looking very different from your normal syllabus because, of course, we don't talk about netiquette in the classroom. So this is important, and this is actually part of all the online syllabi that should be out there for anybody that's taking an online class. And so if you've taken an online class before, you should have already seen this. But if not, let's go over this. Even if you have, go over it with me still. So proper netiquette enables students to be professional while communicating online with faculty and with other students. To comply with course expectations, it is important to consider the following values during online discussions and when corresponding to the professor and fellow students via email and discussions. So, student-to-student netiquette, make sure that you are timely. So do make sure that you monitor course activity and respond to communications from your classmates and faculty in a timely manner. Remain confidential as much as possible when you're discussing certain topics and wanting to call out people. Don't do that. So do not use names of people or names of facilities. Also, formatting as a rule, don't use all caps in your emails. Make sure that your grammar is there. So make your mom proud and make sure that everything is written as it would be if this was a formal paper, especially when you're on the discussion forums. Use standard capitalization and punctuation and sign your name on all emails. Recognize and value the experiences, abilities, and knowledge each person brings to the class. So do, of course, value the diversity of the class. Language tone. This is very important to consider because when we are communicating verbally, you can tell whether or not I'm being sarcastic or whether or not I'm being serious. But of course, that's not the case in an online course or in our writing. So the absence of face-to-face interaction increases the likelihood of misinterpretation. Avoid using offensive language, excessive exclamation points, all caps, humor and sarcasm, acronyms, emoticons, and slang. Respect. Each student's viewpoint is valued as an opinion. When responding to a person during online discussions, be sure to state an opposing opinion in a diplomatic way. Disagree with ideas, but do not make personal attacks. Be careful what you write because you cannot use body language or tone of voice when trying to convey ideas, intent, or thoughts. Brevity. Do be concise when contributing to a discussion. Online courses require a lot of reading, therefore your points may be missed if hidden in a flood of text. And do make sure that you read and proofread. Proofread and spell check all messages before you send them. Student to professor etiquette. So, of course, this goes both ways. In addition to the above values, you are expected to respond to communications from your professor in a timely manner. Any emergencies that arise due to illness, death, etc. should be reported to the professor as quickly as possible. And I will also follow these values listed above by checking and responding to emails and grading your assignments in a timely manner. So, the course Blackboard site will be checked periodically, and any emails will be answered during those times. Your assignments will be graded within a reasonable time after the posted deadline for each assignment, or after the assignments are actually received. The attendance is automatically recorded in Blackboard. Everything is being tracked, so your activity on Blackboard is viewable by me. So while you enjoy the flexibility of online class and can participate anytime you would like, please note that active and attentive participation in the online environment is the only way for you to succeed in this class. Change policy. I've already mentioned this before. If there is a change in the course, I will tell you in advance. And again, very unlikely you will see any changes whatsoever during this course. Oops, sorry, scrolled too fast. All right, here's an important part. Policy on makeups. If there are extenuating circumstances that prevent you from submitting your work in a timely manner, please email the course professor to make arrangements. Otherwise, graded activities will not be accepted after the due date. Exceptions will only be made in extenuating circumstances and at the discretion of me. The following extenuating circumstances may qualify as excused absences: a documented illness, a documented participation in university-sponsored events, such as athletic competition, theater productions, and conferences, a documented jury duty or court appearance, recognized religious holiday or observance, and a documented death in the family. If you are experiencing any of the aforementioned situations and cannot make a deadline, you must inform me via email as soon as possible. So this is best, of course, before the assignment is due. That way I will be informed of your situation in real time, and I can more appropriately assess the situation and make that decision of whether or not this is an extenuating circumstance where you would be allowed a makeup. All right. When you are taking your online quizzes and exams, remember your computer connection must be reliable. Also, you'll be given a certain window of time that the assessment is available, so do make sure that you complete all of your assessments when they are provided. When you begin your assessment, you will need to finish it before it closes. Again, every assessment is timed based on how many number of questions are in the assessment. So during the open time of your quizzes and exams, you're actually going to see all the questions presented in front of you. You'll be able to go back to some questions, but do pay attention to the amount of time that you're allotted. You will not be able to save or print your assessment questions. You will not be able to wait to the last minute to take an assessment. Please do not procrastinate, because those that procrastinate are those that will do poorly in the class. It's always the case, unfortunately. So in that same vein, do not get behind in this course. It will be very difficult to catch up. As I mentioned, your lectures range between 45 minutes to some of them almost 2 hours. So there is a lot of stuff that you will be needing to do on your own, and so you'll need to be very scheduled and very motivated to complete things in a timely manner. Of course, cheating, do not cheat. Ooh. Hold on, did it again. Do not cheat. So when you're taking tests, you must work alone and without notes or other resources as you take each of the assessments. I do want to point out for the exams, most of the questions are critical thinking questions, not just rote information to memorize. So answering a question correctly will entail true understanding of the content. So using forbidden helpers such as cheat sheets will really not be particularly helpful anyway. Also, maintain assessment security by not discussing the questions with your peers or attempting to copy the assessments in any way. Remember, you may know other students who have not yet taken the course with me. So if you discuss assessment questions or its content with these students, this is a violation of assessment security. This is cheating and will result in being reported for academic dishonesty. Report breaches of honesty. If you know of dishonest behavior occurring, you are ethically bound to report it. Otherwise, you will be also reported. Final note on the subject, we take assessment security very seriously at USC-Aiken. Violations in assessment security are considered not just academic violations, but ethical violations, which are especially unacceptable for future professionals. All right. For this course, of course, you need some online requirements, including a reliable and speedy internet access. You also need some computer competency. So you must be very comfortable with using email and discussion boards, uploading and downloading documents, accessing resources such as search engines and websites, and so on. If at any point throughout the semester you need resources or you need online support, here is a whole bunch of information where you could seek support from. And so you can right now download the System and Technical Requirements handout that will tell you all of the necessary information on Blackboard supported web browser skill requirements, links to free multimedia plugins, and the Computer Services Help Desk. If you need technical support, do not hesitate to ask Computer Services Help Desk. You can email them, you can call them. If you need library help, do not forget we have a great library support system here at the Greg Graniteville Library. If you need help using the library or going online and using any of the library resources and tools, you can use the Ask a Librarian support feature, which is really cool. When you go to your online library, there's you can do an online chat right there on the spot with an actual librarian. Also, do not forget your Academic Success Center resource. This Academic Success Center resource will provide you with help if you need tutoring, if you need help with writing, if you need help for anything related to this class. Do definitely seek out the Academic Success Center. There's also the Campus Life resource. This department provides information about academic support, enrollment services, organizations, student services, and housing centers. The Disability Services Office provides accommodations to ensure that educational programming and services are accessible to students with disabilities. If you have a physical, psychological, and/or learning disability that might affect your performance in this class, please contact the Disability Service Office right now. I actually did email you all about a week ago asking for anybody who has a disability form or a disability that needs accommodations to email me and let me know immediately so that I can make those accommodations before class begins. And so we're not scrambling after class begins to get those accommodations worked out for you. We really don't have a lot of time. By the time August 6th comes around, the class is going to be over and it's going to fly by. Do not forget, we also at USC-Aiken provide counseling services at any point throughout the semester or throughout your entire collegiate career. The Counseling Services Department offers counseling and crisis services, as well as outreach services, self-help, and frequently asked questions. Your Computer Services Help Desk is going to be a great resource for you, especially if you're having trouble with the Respondus Lockdown browser or Skype or any other thing that you need help with on your computer. Do not forget your institution policies. You will find all of this information in the USC Aiken Student Handbook. And copyright. The materials in this course that I'm going to be presenting are all associated with subject material that comes from the book or that comes from other online sources. And these are all subject to copyright laws and protections. And so these are provided for you, but are not intended for you in any way to distribute the material that I am providing for you. So do not copy any of this content or share it with others. This is a copyright disclaimer, and of course will be, if found out, will be met with punishment by the university. Okay, and with that being said, we are finally at the end of this very long syllabus. But being very long, it is also very detailed, so I hope all of the questions that you had about this class are now answered with this syllabus. Do keep the syllabus on hand. In fact, I advise you right now to print it up so that you have it right there for a reference to go back to anytime you have a question about the class. Also, if you have a question still that I was not able to answer in the syllabus, please email me now. Email me now right away and get whatever questions that you have out of the way before you begin this class. The last thing that I want is some misunderstanding of what's going on and it be too late by the time you find out. That is unfortunately one of the biggest limitations to this class, is that we are not face-to-face and you can't go, oh, hey, hold on, I have a question. So please make sure that you keep that open communication with me. I will be responsive to you, and I will be as accessible to you as possible throughout the entire course of this semester in order to help you to succeed. I really look forward to teaching this class. I really look forward to you learning, and I do hope that by the end of this class, you are very, very knowledgeable about the field of psychology. So with that being said, this is the end of the syllabus video, and now you can begin your lecture 1.